Okay, so additional line rights is always a hot topic in the gas pipeline area, less so in electric transmission. But you have an easement where it says we'll pay, the gas line or the pipeline company will pay X amount to install a line or lines, in this location or whatever. And then the question becomes, can you come back years later and add lines without paying more money? Or a lot of times the easement will say, if you add additional lines, well, then you got to pay X, Y, or Z, and usually it's a nominal additional consideration. And when you come down to it, the property owner is pretty unhappy about the fact that a pipeline's coming through, and they're thinking, oh great, this is going to be lucrative. I don't, if you're a property owner that doesn't mind having a pipeline on your property, which some are just opposed to it as it is, but if you're not really opposed, you see it as a financial windfall, which it is. So especially in pipelines, because you can still do an awful lot with your land even with a pipeline under it. And with I'm sure everyone in the online understands that the dollars that have been paid over the last decade or more for these easements have been really astronomical, in many cases far exceeding the value of the underlying real estate. So when these property owners have their hopes dashed because the pipeline company comes in and says, well, we're paying your neighbor $100 a linear foot because that's the going rate for new pipeline, but you already have a pipeline on your property and this is an additional line for you, so we're going to pay you $10 per linear foot or $1 per linear foot. That leads to litigation, and we had a case like that. We were representing Marathon actually, and it was another one of those situations like that power line case where the company wanted to use some new easement, acquire some new easement, but then also use some existing easement. And by far, the trying to use the existing easement for additional lines led to much more litigation. And we were involved in some cases up in Stark County along those lines. And the argument was made, look, this was negotiated years and years ago, and there's a Supreme Court case that says that option contracts, can't just be held open forever. That a price term in an option contract is unenforceable. And the other side, on behalf of the pipeline company, we were arguing, well, this isn't an option. That case doesn't apply. This is what they call an expansible easement. It's a current easement, but you can just add to it. And there wasn't any case law in Ohio on that issue, but there's a lot of case law from sort of oil and gas rich states from the past that deal with this issue and go in favor of the pipeline industry on that. But it never got decided in that case, and it's still an open issue as to whether these additional line rights are considered unenforceable option contracts or enforceable expansible easement situations. There's no direct case law in Ohio on point, but there's some case law from around the country that suggests that basically the same analysis applies in the electric transmission context as it does in the gas pipeline context.